From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Scripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
I would ask if you're ready, Kyle, but you probably haven't listened to our podcast, so most people don't. I'm just saying, there's like 8 billion people.
No, I've heard it. I've heard and I've seen some.
And you still came on? Wow. you do make bad decisions. That's all right.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? If this is a train wreck, I'll help the wheels fall off.
No worries.
There you go. Yes.
Let's do it. We're all in this together.
That's right.
Take a shot and watch the wheels fall off.
In a blaze of glory, we're going down. All right. Very well. All right. Well, we've got a co-conspirator on this one, so I'm gonna have to change my intro.
I'm a troublemaker.
We're winging this one.
All
Perfect. Right. Let's do it.
Right. All right. I know we're not skipping the Fast and Furious questions with this guy. He's got the right motivation. All right. Very well. All right.
I got screws loose. It's fine.
That's good. So I think all the fun people do. It's just figuring out which screw it is and how to screw with it. That's the fun part. So, all right, let's give it a roll. Welcome to the Garage Heroes and Training Podcast. I'm going to be one of the hosts for this episode. My name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicky, and Jennifer's on a hiatus.
She is.
She's taking a break.
Mm-hmm. Is this like in Friends taking a break, or we were on a break?
No. Situation like where it's on off.
No. She's been her sister for a very long time, so I'm pretty sure
she has been.
Okay.
Yeah, she's taking a break for a little bit. She's got some stuff she's got to deal with. So
we've had a third voice, and I'm pretty sure you can tell it's not Jennifer.
Nope.
We have a person who has made some great decisions and some questionable decisions. One of the questionable decisions, he races with Race Bar. That's always questionable.
Race Bar.
That's right.
Race Bar.
He is a amateur driver. He's a pro driver. He's raced with almost everyone and everything, including recently debuting in a NASCAR sanctioned series, among other things. We have with us Kyle Lockrow. Welcome to the podcast, Kyle.
Welcome,
Bill,
Kyle.
Hi, guys. Great to see you. Great to come hang out and ready to make bad decisions and have fun with it.
Yeah, well, you just race with Race Bar, and that's full of bad decisions.
Oh, absolutely. The moment you step in the car, it's downhill train wreck from there. Absolutely.
It's the whole weekend.
So Race Bar is like a team that we race with and claim, somewhat sister team until around 10 p.m. And then after that, it's somebody else's problem. We just tag out and say, no, can't do it. But so we usually start off with a little bit about yourself. But before we do that, which Race Bar cars have you driven?
I have driven Race Bar itself. I have driven Dingo, which is where I made my first start with Race Bar. And I have driven Baby Shard or Shark, whatever Jeff decides, or whatever Ron Mexico calls it.
Depends on what condition it is.
Laser Shark,
Baby Shark, or Baby Shark.
I think I got both in one session when it was driving like a champ, and then the harmonic balancer fell off.
Did you ever Did you get a chance of Rock Lobster yet?
I have not rocked Lobster yet. I've heard good things about it, though.
You really got to hang out with better people if you've heard good things about that car. But anyway,
I watched it in action. I followed Elazar, one of our other Race Bar guys, at Charlotte in the rain, at the Lucky Dog, their inaugural at Charlotte last year. And we were having fun. I'm dancing all over, and he's just smooth as can be. And I'm just trying to keep the ass in a Race Bar from coming out from under me in the rain.
You were there. We've raced together. Who knew?
Mm-hmm.
You guys were in the truck, right? The S10?
We were in the truck, and we were in the BMW for a short time.
Right.
The BMW crashed hard.
Until the E36 became like an E27 or something.
Deadpool. It was Deadpool.
That's
wrecked.
okay.
Oh, man.
It was fine though.
It was. Everybody's good. Couple ribs, no big deal.
Yeah.
That's why they come in multiple ribs. Right. Miss Vicky.
It's not if, it's when
exactly
something's going to happen to you, and if you just make peace with that, then just drive.
And
be well, but drive.
At the Charlotte Roval, if when is there, it's probably not going to go very well.
No.
Yeah.
There's lots of concrete there. But anyway.
Lots of concrete.
So I am not the best driver, so I make up for it by also not being the best at introductions. Would you care to give a brief introduction to yourself? Maybe what you're involved with, maybe what you're doing. It sounds like your professional life is converging on your racing life, so that's fun. But a little background for those who aren't familiar.
All right. Well, I like long walks on the beach and cuddling up at night. Oh wait, no, you're
born at a young age.
I think so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think so. All right. So, no, I am originally from Southern Maryland. I was born and raised in the area. I still live in the area, still work in the area, own a house, and I work full time for a government contractor doing IT. I made a career change about 4 or 5 years ago, was doing some logistics and did some stuff in sports, wanted to work in NASCAR doing public relations and get involved on the business side, and went to school for it with bachelor's and an associate's in communications. So I've kind of used that into parlaying into my business partner, my business manager, Tanya Banning, who works and does a lot of my sponsorship and business relations on the side. We actually started a business over the summer, KLR Management Group. So not only are we driving, we've got business management, photography, web content, management, it's on my website, KyleLockrow.com, all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, we're kind of a jack of all trades, master of none program.
Sounds like my race. Vicky, are you going to ever ask a question, or are you just going to sit and smile?
Do we have a doc?
Yeah, I've sent it to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought when you said winging it, I legitimately thought we were winging it. So
okay, well, it's fine. I'm just sitting here going. I've written your name on the front of like 4 different questions, and you're just like,
I am so sorry.
That's okay.
We had a different conversation before it started, so
it was one of those conversations you get when you're married, right? Bill, do we have a blah blah blah? And I'm like, no. And you get the look, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go make one really fast. Because
no, I said okay.
I was married. I remember that look.
Yeah.
I remember that look very well. It starts with, and then.
Yeah. The podcast usually goes from Bill's in a good position, and then by the end of the podcast, Bill's sleeping in the bathtub.
I was gonna say the couch, but nice job, man. Bathtub.
When I really
too. That's excellent.
When I really do it poorly, she doesn't turn the water off. But that's a different story.
Cold water or hot water?
It doesn't matter.
By the morning.
By the morning, it doesn't matter. They're all wet. Anyway,
he's my race partner.
Vicky, welcome to the podcast. Would you care to ask a question?
Hi, everybody. Okay, so how did you end up getting in racing?
So I got into racing through watching cartoons as a kid. Again, I grew up watching the Scooby-Doo, all that stuff.
And what were some of your favorite shows? Because I used to watch them also.
Oh yeah, I watched like Scooby-Doo, Flintstones, Jetsons. My dad introduced me to all that stuff because that's what he grew up on. So I actually collect a lot of those on DVD. I bought a lot of them on Amazon. I still watch them now because I'm 5 years old and I'm 31. I have a problem, but I don't care. So
did you have a Hot Wheel collection?
I actually, you know what? The sad part is I do. I have, and I still collect them to this day. I still collected. My grandmother and I started this in 99 and 2000. I collect the little 164 diecast of NASCAR. I'm on eBay all the time, like wheeling and dealing. I'm like it's either like a drug dealer or I've got a really bad problem and I'm buying them, but it's fun. And I've got them organized and I do the transporters but it's something that we started before she died when I was growing up and I used to play with them watching the races. So I've gotten the addiction. Yeah, I'm going to call it an addiction. I've just the needle and everything sit off to the side. I just don't want to bring them on camera. So, just kind of like that. It's bad. So.
Oh yeah. So you start getting it. You start watching all the shows and
Yeah, started watching all the shows. And when Turner Network sponsored some cars in the 90s with the Diamond Ridge team and the Melling team, that's kind of what got me into it. And then a family friend of mine who actually came out to watch me run Kansas got me into the NASCAR 98 PlayStation game. And it just kind of, everything just developed from there.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite Wacky Racer car?
Oh, you had to ask me that question.
I did.
You can't go wrong with Peter Perfect because it looks like an old school Indy car from the 60s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you can't. But nothing is as awesome as like the Chugga-Boom, the Arkansas Chugga-Bum, and all those.
Very nice.
Chugga-Bug and all those guys, and the Anthill Mob.
Yeah. All right.
Personally, I was a Speed Racer fan growing up.
I think
I watched every show.
So did you do you have any like the acrobatic team or whatever it was that was on there?
No.
Okay. I drove for a Champ Car team a few weeks ago that was actually called Racer X.
Oh, very nice.
Wow. I think I've come across Racer X.
Scott Forrester.
I think
his guys
so.
up in Ohio. Yeah. That's who I drove for at Mid Ohio.
Yeah.
They were awesome.
Did it rain at Mid Ohio? Did you get the pleasure?
No, it was completely dry all weekend.
Oh,
wow.
That's almost reasonable.
It was awesome. Mid Ohio was awesome. Now Watkins Glen, I couldn't see anything. It was so foggy and rainy up there.
Wow. And there's walls.
Yeah.
Blue bushes.
Yeah.
Blue
what is
bushes.
it they say? The black is good, green is not good, blue is oh crap.
Yep.
Or something like that.
It's not good. There's nothing good about that. So it seems like you have started racing before you even started driving, since you were, watching your cartoons and learning your car control skills from Dick Dastardly and Muttley.
Absolutely.
Would you care to summarize like where you started and what you've gone through in the,
Sure.
Seems like decades?
So I started later than most guys. I started at 17. So I tried to get into go-karts at 13 or 14, but I tested one out at one of the local tracks just across the bridge in Virginia. And we didn't have the money to do it. So it kind of just died out for about 3 or 4 years. And then about 17, when after I had the injury in school and I couldn't really do school sports anymore, and I had to have surgery on my shoulder, I was like, let me see if I can make this racing thing work. I think I could do this because I used to do all the simulators and the video games. Let's see if we can make this happen. So one thing led to another. I tested out a NASCAR late model for the first time. Felt really good. Felt really comfortable. Got encouraged to start in Legends cars and 4 cylinders just to understand the car control, start at a right level. Moved up to the late models, NASCAR sanction, non-NASCAR sanction, and did some ARCA testing. And then over time, it developed into the Champ Car road racing, and it's just continued to develop from there. And I've got approved for ARCA and truck competition, and then now made my ARCA debut about a week and a half ago in Kansas.
Awesome.
Well, I have questions on that. So you make it
sound... Good thing we have a podcast for you.
I know, right? So you make it sound like, I just kind of did this and I did that. And then, now I'm driving in like NASCAR stuff. But
that's because I'm on camera and I'm smiling, and inside the PTSD is just coming back of all the crap.
Oh, yeah. but I'm just curious, like, how did you enter? I mean,
they saw a race bar.
Right. But how did you just decide, like, I'm going to go test drive this car? Next thing you know, I have a car, and then I'm riding in a race. And only because that's our audience. It's kind of like getting them moving in that direction.
I called. So if anybody that might be listening on the show remembers or knows of a place called Dominion Raceway in Thornburg, or right outside of Fredericksburg. The predecessor to Dominion was Old Dominion Speedway, and it was originally in Manassas. They used to have a driving school up there called Try It Racing, and it was kind of like it was a late model version of the Richard Petty and NASCAR driving experience, where you can come out, see what it's like to drive a car. But the guy who owned it actually raced late models competitively on Saturday nights. So that's kind of how it started. I wanted to pursue it not just to see if I could do it, but I wanted to get an evaluation from a guy that did it every week. And went out, I did a 50 lap test. I did 2 25 lap sessions. And the first one was just to get acclimated with the car. They saw I had some decent car control and I was smart and I was smooth. And they said, okay, well, now let's test you out a little bit. So they had the guy they were doing a lead follow program in 2007, I think, when they were doing it. Mm-hmm. And so what they did is they had the lead car take off and they had him get about a half a lap ahead of me. So the idea was chase him, see if you can chase him down. And by the end of the session, I actually got within a couple car lengths of the guy, but they wanted to see how smooth and consistent I would be over driving a car just over the course of time. And just from there, I mean, yeah, it wasn't the most organized thing in the world, but it was a start for me. And it let me get some confidence and realize I could do this. And from there, I just started making contacts with Legends cars, tried to get in touch with the right people, tried to broker a lot of my own racing deals and opportunities. And I've been a self-funded driver pretty much my whole career. I've had some help here and there, but I've never really had a lot of small, mid-size, or real big corporate businesses that have jumped behind me. I've had a couple small partners here and there, but everything I've done to this point, with a few exceptions, have been out of my own pocket while trying to work and balance a life and everything else I have going on the side.
I feel like a failure.
No. No, don't do what I did. It's
so I guess I'm taking your journey was pretty tough to get to where you are right now.
Many peaks and valleys is an understatement. I remember days where I'm just like, screw it, I'm done, I'm out of this. And I've had multiple this year. I'll be perfectly honest with you. You get so frustrated with it, but I knew I could do it and I wanted to get there. And I felt like I could, whether I get to the Cup Series and win a race or win championships, I just want to say I at least gave it a shot. And if I don't make it at that point, I can at least say I tried it and I did everything I could to get there. I just don't want to come out of this with any regrets. So It's all about, and what I realized was watching the sport, and I paid attention. I mean, when I'd get home from school on Fridays, it was watching qualifyings and practices on Speed Channel and everything involved. And I would watch how these guys would interview and how they'd handle the fans. And I tried to just absorb all of that. I've been a sponge for years with that and anything with the sport, any type of motorsport, really. And I wanted to do it right, because I know a lot of guys only get one shot at it. So I wanted to get in, do it right, make sure the people that paid to let us do this get rewarded. And I wanted to learn from the mistakes of the guys that either didn't get there or got there and things didn't work out.
Right. So where do you see your journey going? I mean, it still sounds like you're all in, and like racing with Race Bar sounds like it's just, okay, I'm just going to go out and race and have a good time instead of worrying about the stress of it, which is kind of what that kind of racing is.
To be honest with you, yes. But what a lot of people don't realize is, yeah, we joke about how Race Bar, yes, it is a good time. Those guys go for fun. But to be honest, those guys don't realize what they've done for me. As loose as those cars are on a road course, it's helped me hone my car control. Because when you get in, I told Andy and Pat and everybody this, and I mean, I actually put a Race Bar sticker on the ARCA car as a thank you, because I mean, those guys are a big part of what got me to that level, because they helped my confidence and got me comfortable enough and confident enough to drive those cars in a controlled slide, but be smooth with it to where I could take that and be smooth and consistent in the heavier stock cars, where I can do it lap after lap after lap. And when the car is not, I mean, for example, Race Bar, it's set up for multiple drivers. It's not just set up for me. So I have to learn as a driver to adapt. And that's where road racing has honestly come in. And the Champ car, no matter who I've driven for, that's where that's been a benefit. But with Race Bar's setup, it helped me at Kansas, because with the aerodynamic, let's say, deficiencies that my car might have had, just because it was an older model car and because I was a little bit down on horsepower, it was a last minute entry that we had. We weren't sure we were even going to go, but there's just so much aerodynamic effect that goes into the cars. When you're on a bigger racetrack, when you get cars that come around you, it affects how the car drives. And having to drive the car in a controlled slide, when you get the air taken off your car, you got to not be afraid of that. And so being in Race Bar actually helped me drive in a controlled slide. If it wasn't for driving Dingo, Race Bar, and Baby Shark, and cars like that aren't perfect, it forces me to figure it out and makes me a better driver. So if I didn't get in situations like Race Bar and be involved with people like that, I wouldn't have had the success I had at Kansas, and hopefully going forward.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, if you need a car that is not set up to be driven, and you want to multitask and get into something that would represent the worst of the potential NASCAR trucks that you could ever drive, we know a team.
There is no fifth gear. There is no fifth gear. There's no fifth gear.
But fourth gear is fun.
All right. Well, you'll have to let me. You'll have to introduce me to this said team. You have my interest. You had me at no fifth gear.
No fifth gear.
Yeah. Fifth gear will shred our transmission.
Yes. Yeah, but you can have so much fun in fourth.
Yes.
So, and if you want a car that's set up to be loose, baby, we got a truck for you.
Perfect.
That's right. You
have your people call my people.
No problem. All right. We'll get them on the podcast soon. They'll be here shortly. Don't worry. So where do you think, like, if you got two-part question, the ideal path for you going from where you're at now to where you ideally want to end up as your goal? What do you think? Obviously you'll never be able to look into the future perfect crystal ball, but if you got to wave a magic wand and said, I want to do this, then this, then this, then
And it's funny you mention that, because that path has changed probably every 3 months in this whole journey of 14 years. And it's where I thought I was going from the initial get-go of getting into racing in 2007 has drastically changed. I never thought that my bread and butter would become road racing. Not that I didn't enjoy it, because I watched a lot of it as a kid, but with NASCAR going to Sonoma and Watkins Glen, and then road racing just becoming more prevalent in the sport, it actually kind of played into my favor. So honestly, I see myself now continuing to do Champ Car and Lemons and doing Lucky Dog when I can, because one, NASCAR is pulling practice left and right away because of COVID or whatever. They're trying to save money probably, or whatever the situation is. That they're doing what they need to do for their business model.
Sure.
But being in a Lemon situation, being in a Champ Car situation, being in a Lucky Dog situation, they force you to get in a car you're unfamiliar with and go out with no practice and figure it out. So what's helped me is I want to continue to do that while progressing up in NASCAR Camping World Truck Series competition, ARCA Menard Series competition, up to NASCAR Xfinity, and then hopefully one day to NASCAR Cup. So I want to use the amateur stuff to mold my skill set to continue to move up, but continue to make my skills sharp, because the road racing goes essentially year round.
Okay. So with that, is there any series that you haven't tried yet that are of interest? Anything? I mean, you don't seem
Michelin GT. I am approved for it. And actually we just met with a team over the weekend while we were down south and had some discussions. We're hoping to put something together for a couple of races next year if we can get the funding. And honestly, my goal, one that I've wanted to do since first time I watched it in 2005, was I want to do the Rolex 24 at Daytona in a prototype.
Ooh, that's a big boy race. And a big boy car.
I want it at least one time. I would love to do it in a prototype. It just because I want to see what it's like. I've heard the downforce is incredible. I've heard the experience is incredible. I want to see what it's like at least once in my lifetime. But if the opportunity presented itself in a GT car or a GTD or GTL, whatever, I'm in. So.
See, I've heard the same stuff about the prototype, and I have no interest. I like cars. I like just regular cars. Anyway, I have a self-imposed speed limit on myself.
Yeah.
So
you're associated with Race Bar and you have a speed limit?
I do. Have you seen their cars? They don't go fast.
Bill right now he's racing, but he's kind of our team leader.
Okay. So he's the fearless leader?
He is the fearless leader. He directs us on track and off track when it comes to practices and training and all that stuff. He's dead on to that.
Now, can I ask you guys a question? What is the training regimen of Garage Heroes in Training?
Wow. Okay. So we believe in as much cross training as possible. So we have front wheel drive, rear wheel drive. We have heavy trucks. We have BMWs. We have Miatas. We have Hondas. We have, as much as we can. We try to get to as many tracks as we can. We always try to do one new track a year. Try to do autocross. We're still trying to get all ice racing. We just found out about that and think that's just way too much fun not to go do that.
We started out with not knowing much, so we ended up hitting a skid pad that mixed up with a small autocross track. So we all ended up learning how to slide our cars, which was really awesome.
So we love the rain. We try to get as wide a variety as we can to make up for lost time. Cause you started at the late age of 17 and I started at the late age of 50. So it's, slightly different, but we're trying to have as much fun as we can and, get as diverse of skill set as we can. So we're going to try next year, we're going to try sprint racing because we mostly do endurance racing and try all kinds of different racing in as many different cars as we can, as many different places as we can.
And as racing goes, that I haven't, we have a mechanic who is 3 hours away. So right now I'm training to be our secondary mechanic, which I did not know how to do any of that. But now I am working on the cars and prepping all the cars for all of our training events. So, we're going into our 5th year, I think, right now.
Yes.
And Bill just became an instructor.
Congratulations.
So we're still going through our training. So we hit HPDEs in all of when we're not on the track. And as Bill said, we hit one new track and then we try to hit one away track, like a field trip. So that could be like a whole weekend, or we'll take a vacation out and tie a race into it.
That's awesome. No, I mean, that's kind of how to back to your question about my background, that's kind of how mine's been. I've never been able to run a full season just because of money. So, and 9 times out of 10, I'm never in the same car in the next race because it's just whatever we can piece together. And so for me, it's rare when I actually get to drive the same car, at a different racetrack. So the mantra that we've kind of come up with is new car, new track. And I've had to figure it out. So I completely relate to what you guys are doing, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Our mantra has been if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing.
We have lots.
We have lots.
Yep. That's one of them.
Yeah. So what is your race now that we're at the end of 2021? What does your 2022 look like?
It's coming together. We can't really release anything at this time. The goal right now is to run a number of races between the ARCA Menards main series and the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Hopefully sprinkle in a little bit of the IMSA GT, the Michelin GT stuff, if possible. And then continue to do some Champ Car and Lucky Dog stuff just to stay fresh and stay at the racetrack and just keep the skill set rolling. But really, that's what we're looking to do. Ideally, I think we'd like to do about 10 to 12 races next year between the ARCA and the truck stuff. And then if we could sprinkle in 1 or 2 of the IMSA races, that would be awesome. I really just kind of like you guys, I want that diversity. I want that variety. I feel like it's really helped me because it shows these sponsors, one, that you can cross brand me between road racing and tin tops, as they like call them, with the stock cars. So, but I can also go back and I appreciate the grassroots stuff with Champ Car, where it's important to me. And I'm an instructor as well. So it's important to me to go back and give back and help coach. And I enjoy spotting and giving back to younger drivers and helping develop them and helping make their learning process that they want to go up faster and less hectic than what I went through. So that's really what I want to do for 2022 is just continue to hit all the facets, but increase the pro stuff.
Don't you just love the energy at the track?
It's incredible. And I mean, racing is such a family too. I mean, you talk about how when you're in your hometown and, there's people that fall in and out of your life, man, once you meet people at a racetrack, it's like your family for life. And I love it. So.
And they're everywhere. I love it. Do you have a race philosophy when you go out? We always like to ask this question.
He likes to ask this question.
I don't even know how to answer this question, honestly. The race philosophy up until recently is don't wreck it because you can't afford to pay for it. You're lucky you can pay to race it.
Good plan. That's a good plan.
That's good. Yeah.
So honestly, my philosophy this year was take a deep breath, go into racing, have fun with it, which Tanya's helped me with a lot. She's kind of helped me with a lot of my mentality and like a lot of my mental state outside of the car. Because I'm very hard on myself, and I have a hard time accepting when I do well, because I know that every race is different, and this is this week. Next week it can be completely different.
I hear that Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I said I hear that when you start leveling up in racing, is that you have external pressures that are placed on you, and it is the win of the day. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, there's guys like, for example, I mean, you could win the race one week and then the next week on lap 2, you get knocked out just of something that's not even of your own doing. Or the motor lets go or something, just abnormally, the racing gods are like, nope, you're done today. And that's just how fickle the sport can be, just without even your involvement with it. So I just want to do it right. I want to enjoy it, but I want to make sure that I'm giving 150%, and I don't want to get caught up in it where I forget where I came from. I want to make sure I'm always giving back to fans, giving back to charities. I want to help people through this journey that have helped get me there. And I want to enjoy it because there's, like you said, there's so many guys that get caught up in the money, the fame, the prestige, and everything that's involved with it, which is all great when you get to that level. But at the same time, you notice guys that you don't recognize these guys 10 years later when they've been doing it for a long time, because they tend to become jaded, or they get so caught up in everything that's going on around that they forget to just how they got there, what they got there, and just that they're lucky to even be there. So I want to take it in, because I know also the reality of the cruel world we live in. I could be doing this one day, but unfortunately something could happen. I could lose a sponsor. I could have a career-ending injury. I may not be doing this tomorrow. So I want to make the most of it every day I can.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, luckily we've been able to fight that, so we're still fine. So don't worry about us.
Perfect. Excellent.
So, in your journey, what are some of the lessons that you've learned?
Don't burn bridges, obviously, because you never know when you're going to need those connections later on in life or later on in your career. Obviously, that's just like anything in life. Don't ever forget the fans. They're who, no matter if it's grassroots, semi-pro, amateur, whatever the case is, don't ever forget those people. Give them the time of day, because they're going to remember it. You never know if somebody's son that you signed for at Kansas or took a picture with them or shot the breeze with them at Atlanta Motorsports Park might be somebody whose father might be the CEO of ABC company that could help sponsor your organization or your company or your team, that could propel you to the next level. But also too, you never know that you might be that influence on that child to where he might have a very, very rough home life, or maybe not have a good role model to look up to. And I mean, obviously we know in sports today that we have the epitome of phenomenal role models in some of these sporting series and sanctioning bodies, that I want to be somebody that kids can look up to. I remember being that kid begging for an autograph, standing outside somebody's trailer, just wanting to shake their hand, just wanting to get their attention and say, hey, I see what you're doing. Notice me. I'm the little guy. So I want to make sure that these people know, hey, I notice you. I remember you. I may not remember everybody's name because there's so many of you, but I remember being in your position years ago. So it's important for me to never forget that.
Okay, so we've got a traditional question that we ask just about everybody, and it's called the good, bad, the ugly. And for you, it's going to be tricky, though, because you could talk about your driving, you could talk about your racing, you could talk about so many different facets of performance driving. But something good that you remember could be things to do, things that you did that went well, things that you'd recommend. Bad things not to do, things that didn't go your way, and then ugly is just story
time.
All right, story time.
Something that had gone completely off the rails.
Here we go. I'm getting ready to do one of those videos on Facebook. Story time.
Story time.
I mean, if you want to do 3 uglies and skip the good and bad, we're good with that too.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we can do 3 of each if you want. I got plenty of time. But if we're going to derail this train, let's do it right.
All right. Here comes the Bridget button. Go for it.
All right. So what are we starting with? Good, bad, ugly, or?
Yep. Good, bad, ugly. Whatever's your choice.
Right. 3 good things. I remember in 2012, I was interning for Rick Ware Racing, and we were at Daytona for the summer race in July, and I was working with, I'm not going to give a name just for namesake purpose or whatever. I was working for one of the drivers, and his brother was there and a friend, and they were kind of walking ahead. And I was dressed like I always was in a team polo jeans, some decent shoes, and a hat. And I was carrying his hero cards. And I'd always tried to look the driver part and just the professional part when I was at the racetrack. And there was this little 4-year-old kid in the fan zone down there in Daytona. And I guess he had been blown off by every driver he had met or been around that day. All of a sudden, I stand there because I had to tie my shoe. And I got up and was picking up my stuff. And I got this little tug on my jeans. And this little 4-year-old kid, if you could think of like the little rabbit with the little eyes that was this little 4-year-old kid. And he looked at me. He didn't say a word. He just went like this with his pen and his book. And so I got down on his knee and his dad walked over, and I introduced myself to him. And I told this kid, I was not about to lie to this kid. I said, "Hey buddy," I said, "my name's Kyle Lockrow." I said, "I'm an intern for Rick Ware Racing." I said, "I'm actually not one of the drivers, but I don't want to lie to you." And I told his dad who I was. And I said, "Look, I don't want to lie to your son. I'm not a professional driver. I'm not one of the guys racing this weekend." I said, "I would love to sign your son's book." I said, "I'm an intern for these guys. I do public relations and some marketing stuff. I race Legends cars on the side." The kid was so disappointed, and I felt like the biggest jerk in the world. But when I said I raced Legends cars, the kid knew, for some reason, the kid knew it. So he turned back around and went like this. And I said, "Do you want me to sign your book?" And I said, and I looked at his dad, "Are you okay with it?" And he said, "Absolutely." He said that he's been blown off by 6 drivers today. And I said, "All right." So I said, "Absolutely." I said, "Come here, buddy." I got a picture with him. I gave his dad, some of my information. I said, "Reach out." I never heard from him. I wish I had, or had a way to follow up with him, but I signed his book, got a picture with him, and he said that made the kid's day. So that was one thing that has always stood out to me. And that's why I will never turn somebody down for an autograph, a picture, or just shooting the breeze with them, because it makes their weekend. And that came full force in Kansas when we were there. I was making my first start, and I had people flocking over to me because I was welcoming, and we'd heard so many times we were blown off, we were this, we were that, and nobody else in the garages between Xfinity and ARCA came out and signed for anybody. I was the only one out there just optionally doing it. And I got to make so many fans and meet so many people. And I just try to pass a lot of that along. And then I learned with instructing, a lot of guys like to hide stuff. Don't hide anything from anybody. Take the Andy Lally approach, give everything that you know back to these people, because the last thing you want to do is don't be pompous and hide something because you think they're going to be better than you. Accept the challenge of knowing that they're good. They may be good in different facets, and don't hide anything from them because they may need that skill set to get out of a bad situation that could hurt them. So I want to give them every piece of knowledge that I may know and everything I've gone through. So it's kind of like the race bar mantra, do good, be humble. So I want to make sure I do that. And 3 for good is I want to learn to do the business side of it, and I want to be involved with anybody that, like with Tanya, that does my business stuff. I want to do stuff outside of the car. I want to appreciate your crew members. Those guys are working double-digit days away from their families, wives, girlfriends, kids, whatever, working on your stuff, and you have to trust them, and they have to trust your ability to protect their equipment, but you have to trust them that they're giving you 150%. If you give them a lot of respect and you treat them like people, it's amazing what they'll do for you, because they respect you more, and you're people to them, and they're not just peons.
For sure. See, that's why I love you, Vicky, because you take care of the cars. I'm going to the tub. I'm on my way.
Yep, I see it. The water's running. Water's running.
I'm telling you. Yeah. I just gotta get that filter working. It's not just mental to voice. It's just there's a filter I'm missing. Okay, so what about bad? What about things not to do? Things that the opposite of those.
Don't burn bridges. Don't make an idiot of yourself at the racetrack. Honestly, you never know who's watching. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was in Legends cars, I got pissed one night. I got taken out by a kid. I took my helmet and threw it halfway up pit road because I was pissed, and I wasn't a good thing. And I was mad and just made an idiot of myself. And just I've made a lot of mistakes. Just always remember, even if you're doing amateur stuff, pretend like there's cameras around you. Mm-hmm. And obviously with smartphones and stuff now, you do have cameras around you and anything. Yeah. Just it can come back to bite you. Tom
O'Gorman told us that his practice is he gets out of the car and he goes to the trailer for 10 minutes. And whatever goes, and then he comes out and it's like, okay, showtime. So
yeah, no, that's a great. I mean, Tom's a smart guy. I actually remember Tom when he worked for the Richard Petty Experience. He was an instructor with their production car side. He did a lot of stuff with the Dodge SRTs and stuff. So I actually I know of Tom. I don't know if I actually really got a chance to work with him and meet him, but I knew of him. A lot of people spoke highly of him, and I've seen what he's done in IMSA.
Yeah,
really nice guy.
Yep.
But he's exactly right. You go, take the time, get pissed, talk to somebody you trust, do what you need to do, and then come back out and realize, like, kind of like Beetlejuice, showtime. Like, you just got to put on the face and kind of go with it. And you don't want to do the wrong thing, but obviously it's racing, emotions are high, but that's also what makes you as a driver and shows your personality is emotion. So it's kind of that bad versus it's kind of a bad and ugly, to be honest with you, because it's not something you're proud of. So yeah.
There's a line you don't want to go past. Right? It's hard to tell where it is though. Sometimes
it's on a razor blade, to be perfectly honest with you, because you get caught up in those emotions, and then next thing you know, it comes back to bite you. So take care of equipment. Don't do anything stupid. I've made some mistakes in my racing career, and make sure that you understand, especially in the road racing, you're not the only one in the car. And you're not, and especially like me, I don't know how to work on them. So know that you don't, especially when you know you're not working on them, take care of them, treat them right. Don't abuse them, because you're not the one that's got to fix it. Right. So don't make that mistake if you can.
Yep. Got any uglies? Uglies are always so much fun.
Another bad is, this is kind of an ugly. Don't have tunnel vision as a kid if you can. I got an education because I made a promise to my parents and my grandparents, but get an education. Don't sacrifice your education. Don't sacrifice anything to go racing. Have a backup plan, have a B, C, and a D plan before anything with racing, because you never know when it's going to get ripped out from under you. And I don't want to say that's necessarily been ugly for me, but I've seen it ugly for other people. So I'm kind of an advocate for that. And I would say the ugly for me is counsel yourself mentally before you even get to the racetrack. Because I had at Road America this year on the first day, I was so far in my head that I'm lucky I didn't wreck the car, just because I was doubting myself so bad. Just believe in yourself. There's going to be self-doubt. There's going to be reasons why you don't feel you're good enough. You don't feel like you belong there. Don't do that. Just talk to people. Don't shelter yourself in, and don't get involved. And this is going to sound kind of harsh. Don't get involved with people that don't support your racing. Make the right decisions. And the only reason I say that is because I mentioned I was married. I've been in some situations before. I've been engaged a couple of times. I've tended to pick the wrong people that I thought were in my corner and that understood racing and understood what it took, especially with what I'm trying to do. Don't settle. Don't get involved in a situation where you think you have that support. be as upfront as possible, especially when you're going to the pro stuff. Your schedule is nonstop. The stuff that I do outside of work and trying to train to be in the cars and on the travel and everything, let them know like you're moving nonstop. The last 2 weekends, I've gotten home at 6 a.m. Monday morning and gone straight to work pretty much, except for an hour or two of sleep, if that, because I'm that dedicated to do this. And I'm sure as hell not giving this up. I'm going to do what I need to do to make a living and have a house and support myself and a family down the line. But I'm not giving this up. I'm eventually finding a way to get to the freaking Cup Series and race. And if you're going to have somebody by your side, and I say this to all racers, don't settle. Pick the right person, because you need that support, because it's a lonely road, and those are empty cups that you get at the end of the day. Have the right person to share it with.
I finally did something right with my racing.
There you go, man.
Getting out of this tub somehow. Anyway. So we thought exactly. At least give me a pillow, maybe something. Anyway, so we were thinking, since you've actually like accomplished things as racing, and we are in training, we thought we'd go over some of the things that you've gained that have helped you progress from your amateur racing. We've talked a little bit about it and things like that. So what skills or what adaptations that you've gotten to your driving from what you've done as an amateur racer have helped you in your professional and transition to professional racing?
First thing's class racing. With road racing, it's all classes like Champ Car, A, B, C, D, and then EC. You're racing against cars that are different horsepower, different sizes, whatever the case is. There's very few people with the same car, and you've got to learn to put your ego aside, and you got to race who you can beat. Know your equipment, know what you're driving, know your ability, push your ability to the limit, but don't try not to overstep. Champ Car is where I learned to race and how I learned to be competitive, and any road racing. And same with Lucky Dog. I haven't done Lemons yet, and I actually want to do it. It's a bucket list thing. I'd like to do it. I've heard good things about it.
There's a truck.
And I know a lot of people that do it.
There's a truck. Just saying.
Hey, you know what? I'm in. Again, have your people call my people. We'll arrange it. We'll sign the contracts, everything.
Vicky, we got to get people.
Whatever I need to do.
We need people.
We got to write contracts.
So here's our contract.
Whatever it takes.
Do you want to come to the race? Okay, we'll meet you there. There's a contract.
Perfect.
We're very formal. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Absolutely. Just handshake, whatever, fist bump, whatever it is now. We can do like a little dance. I don't know what the protocols are now with all the COVID. So, whatever we got to do.
You don't want to see me dance, man.
No, I don't either. It looks like I'm having a seizure. It's terrible.
It does. It's like pieces look like they're coming off. I don't know.
I honestly tell people, if I'm dancing, have 911 on speed dial. It's not good.
Yeah. That's got to be a race car every weekend.
See, there I look like I can dance, because that's liquid courage, where you look like you can dance, and that's fine. Then you're not worried about anything.
Yeah, that's true. So amateur racing is the one thing that we've noticed, and Vicky's particularly adept at it, is you watch F1, and we got into F1 recently, and they'll pass like 30 people a season. And if you're at an endurance race with 100 plus cars, you'll pass and be passed by hundreds of cars over a weekend. It's traffic management's a big deal.
Right. Well, like I said, NASCAR late models and Legends cars taught me to drive to an extent, because that's where I started. Champ Car and Lemons taught me how to race, and I'll explain that if you want me to. So
absolutely,
I figured out the car control stuff to an extent when I was racing Legends cars, because you've got really, really small cars that have the same torque as a NASCAR late model, just the amount of pull and just the way they get you off a corner. But if you don't do it right, it'll get you in trouble, and you'll spin or get into an incident. And then with late models, you get into a heavier car, which is more comparable to the bigger stuff. The problem is a lot of guys in late models tend to not, how do I say this? They tend to get stupid is the best way to put it. They like to tear stuff up, but that's just unfortunately what a lot of racing's become today, because there's a lot of kids that don't respect, and a lot of people that don't respect their equipment and don't respect their fellow racers. Champ Car teaches you, and Lucky Dog and amateur road racing teach you how to race, because it teaches you how to set up a pass, how to properly pass, how to hold your line, how to be properly consistent on a road course, how to jump in something you're not familiar with and adapt to different situations, corner by corner, lap by lap. That, and you're racing your overall, but you're racing your classes. NASCAR has become class racing, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because you have your top tier teams, your mid-pack teams, and your back of the pack teams. Nothing against any level of those type of teams. It's all budgetary restriction related. Mm-hmm. You have money. We all know this. Money buys speed. Money buys equipment. Money buys what you need. But you also need a wheelman or a wheel woman that can get the job done. So, but if you're in a 32nd place car that is averaging a 32nd place finish based on X amount of races over the season, if you can take a 32nd place car and finish 28th with it, you're exceeding the expectations. You can't take a 32nd place car and run first with it. You've got to keep your expectations in check. Race the cars you can race, and try to excel and develop your program and develop what you can to get better, and take that 32nd and eventually get to a 28 and then try to beat the 24th place guys. A lot of guys take the mistake of, I have to take a 30th place car and go win the race with it. You're not going to do that. There's a lot of unrealistic expectation, but that's what road racing and amateur stuff and Champ Car and Lucky Dog teach you how to do. They teach you the right way to do it, because then you respect your equipment, respect your fellow racers, and that consistency runs over to ovals.
We did part of an oval.
Yeah. So is there stuff or things to avoid that you may have learned or seen if trying to improve?
Don't set your expectations too high too quick. One good run, like we talked about before, isn't going to mean you're going to run well the next week. There's development with it. Just because you figured it out one week, yes, the light bulb may have come on, but you've got to be able to consistently do it over time. Don't put something up on that pedestal and then you can't get there. Just baby steps are the best way to go about it, because then you're seeing steady improvement. And at least for me, that's where I've seen it. I've been fortunate enough to where I've gotten in situations where I've been able to excel in cars or at tracks, but I've also been with good people that provide you quality equipment, and even guys that your good teams, your mid-packs and your smaller, your really back of the pack type teams. I've been able to work with even some of the back of the pack type teams and excel with expectation by just figuring out what they've got and just taking it and making the most of what you've got. And I'll give a perfect example of that. I was at Watkins Glen with a really, really small team this year. Great guys out of upstate New York, phenomenal little team they've got. Those guys probably work harder than a lot of people I've ever seen. Nothing against anybody else, but I mean, those guys, we blew a motor on Saturday, 10 minutes into the race, and they had that thing ready to roll for Sunday morning. They went home and put a new motor in it, and their shop was 3 hours away from the track. So, I mean, it was, and the motor was 20 less horsepower, and we were running out of 100 cars that weekend. We were running in the top 30 an hour and two into the race, but just because of the tenacity that those guys had and what they put me in, and I was able to adapt to the condition of the car and what I had, and we just molded it together and had success.
So looking back on your amateur, you're kind of a transitional period right now. You're doing amateur and professional, but looking back at your amateur racing, and it could be looking back to last weekend, or it could be looking back many years. Is there anything that surprised you that applied in amateur racing that you thought, there's no way this is the way things are done, and it's actually, we might actually be doing something correctly?
I want to say it's just the way that the race develops. It's the restarts. It's just the flow of the race overall, I would say. It's so comparable to what you do in the NASCAR stuff that it's not even funny. having to be prepared for restarts on the road courses where you may get the leader may be at the coming to the start finish, but if there's 100 some cars at Watkins Glen, you're getting the green flag up in the boot because it's single file, and you got to be ready to just be heads up, watching the flag stands and watching the peripheral and what's around you. And honestly, driving without a spotter in the road racing, because you don't have spotters all the way around because of the amount of people. So what it's done is it's helped make you more aware of what's around you with your, I mean, I'd just say situational awareness is probably the best way to put it. I've learned it's amazing what you have to do to be heads up as a driver. You guys teach that with the amateur stuff that the pros and some of these guys in late models they don't do because they have spotters. Some of those guys need to be forced to race without spotters, kind of like the IROC series used to be. How those guys were professional drivers in the same car as their fellow competitor, of a guy from World of Outlaws, from a guy from Formula One or IndyCar or NASCAR. You had no spotter. You had to put your driving ability to the test. And that's what Champ Car and amateur road racing and Lemons and Lucky Dog do, that will get you to a higher level that these guys in late models and some of these other ones don't understand, because you're not forced to do it.
So what would you say are the biggest differences between amateur and pro?
Obviously, level of drivers, quality of equipment, different types of racetracks, but similar types of racetracks. And the biggest thing is the biggest difference is you're just on a bigger stage. There's more eyes watching you than there would be at the amateur stuff. And it's just it's developing your skill set on track and off track in the amateur stuff, and just taking it when you go to the semi-pro or the pro stuff. It's okay, now we've got to kick this up a notch and remember that we've got other cameras and we've got other people around watching. There's more people watching what you're doing, everything from getting in and out of the car, conversing with your crew, relaying information, to getting a sandwich at the concession stand. I mean, let's be realistic here. They're watching everything you're doing. They see you in a suit. They see you with a team logo or a hat on with a sponsor or whatever the case is. They're watching what you're doing, and you never know what they're picking up on.
So I've been trying to figure out how to ask this question, so I still don't have a good answer. We'll see, but I'm going to try. So you mentioned that the level of drivers is different. So trying to somewhat quantify that, is it that the let's say the least skilled driver is just so much better than, you probably cut off the bad drivers, because in amateur drivers you can have a big wide range. So is it that the bottom of the driver pool is significantly better than the top of the amateur field? Or because people have a tendency to put a pro driver on a pedestal that's unattainable, and I'm just trying to say, is it like a continuous scale that the amateur drivers, some of the best amateur drivers could be professional if they chose to be, or is it that big a difference? I guess
honestly it's a combination of, I'll take it, it's kind of like this. There's a number of pro drivers that honestly could use some time back down in the amateur level, because they drive very over their head and they drive with a lot of lack of respect, to put it in the cleanest way possible. And there's a lot of guys that are in amateur road racing that are phenomenal drivers that deserve a chance to go to the higher levels and take their skill set and what they've learned in underfunded equipment and deserve to shine. But there's a lot of good drivers in pro racing that you can tell know what they're doing. And then there's a lot of bad guys in amateur racing that, they don't need to be going forward, or that they got some work to do. So I'd say it's a combination of both in both divisions, and that kind of crosses over and meshes as you blend your amateur, semis, and your pros.
So the bestest of the amateurs wouldn't be totally out of place with the mid pack of the pro, and the best of the pro is probably another step above, maybe.
Kind of depends. It also depends on the track. It also depends on the type of car.
Okay.
Everybody has differences with their cars and what tracks they're better on. There's guys that are better on short tracks. There's guys that are better on intermediates. There's guys that are phenomenal road racers. There's guys that are super speedway drivers. There's guys that are better on more technical road courses, guys that like the more high speed stuff. It's more you're going to find your diversity level of driver. You're going to find out who can adapt quicker, who can adapt faster, and who can't. And that's where you get your discrepancies. And it's also just how they handle the situation. Can these guys adapt? Can they make the transition? Can they handle themselves accordingly? You're going to figure it out really, really quickly.
So the quote from that heavily intellectual movie from a few years back. So you're saying we've got a chance.
You got it.
Okay.
You got it. Everybody's always like they always say, any given Sunday, anybody can go out there and do something.
Very well.
Given Sunday.
Another bad movie, but that's okay. We like bad movies.
You know hey! All kinds of movie quotes. Let's throw them out there.
Exactly. No worries. Miss Vicky.
Yes, I think it's time.
It's time. It's time. All right. Very well. You're the kickoff.
All right. So we're going to do our Fast and Furious Storytime questions. We want to know a little bit more about you. So are we ready? Why don't you start?
Let me take a sip of water because I feel like this is going to get interesting real quick.
I mean, we start off nice, nice, easy one. You ready? What was your first car and what is the worst car you've ever had?
Now, just to clarify, race car or personal car?
Whatever you want, sir. It's your podcast.
First car.
First car
ever.
Was a 1991 Mazda pickup, 5-speed with no power steering. And I had to drive it with a broken collarbone until I got the surgery.
Wow. Mm-hmm. You started off high.
Absolutely. But you know what? I miss that truck to this day because it shifted like butter. You could take 2 fingers, push that clutch in, and that thing would go right into gear. It was phenomenal.
We've got a truck just not like that.
This Bill Fisher guy, he sounds like a used car salesman, and I'm loving it. You got me right there.
That's
I'm ready to buy this thing.
We might do a screen share later just so you see the new fancy logo that we have now.
I would like to see this.
Oh, geez.
And what was the worst car you've ever had?
Same one? No.
Worst car I ever, worst, not personal car, worst car I ever drove was an ASA 4-cylinder car.
Say race bar.
Oh. No. Race bar was a dream compared to this car. Oh my God. It was a little, I don't know what it was. It kind of looked like a gremlin after it had gotten into drugs and just morphed into something. I don't know what it was. That's the best way I can describe it.
Gremlin the car or Gremlin the movie?
Both.
Okay, very nice. I like that. I like that a lot.
It was an absolute. I mean, it was one of my first times driving, but it was an absolute just disaster. The car didn't even make the start of one of the races because when it started smoking, I wasn't. Apparently, the trick was to pump the accelerator to clear the carburetor, but it filled up with smoke in the cockpit where I had to get out because I couldn't breathe, and I had to go to the ambulance to get oxygen.
Oh, geez.
And that was my first race. So I started with a bang and didn't even make the start.
Wow.
Oh, geez.
That's no fun.
Wow.
That does count.
So how's that train derailment going? Are we there yet?
No. We are just starting.
Vicky. Oh, man. I was hoping we'd at least be like partway off track by now.
Oh, no. Oh, we've got questions for that. Don't worry.
So what is the car in your family that sticks out the most in your mind? Growing up.
Let's see. Well, we had a possessed 95 Ford Explorer for a period of time.
Oh, do tell.
Okay. All right. So I've never seen The Exorcist, but Christine, we labeled it Christine because the car would lock and unlock all of a sudden without you even really touching it. And we swore to God it was possessed. So it was just one of those. My dad would always say, am I taking, all right, well, if the Honda's in the shop, am I taking Christine to work? So it was Christine. And we bought it from a family that we knew who I went to elementary school with the daughter. And this guy was known for selling lemons, and we bought 2 of them, and we were not disappointed. And awesome. Christine was a member of the family for one too many years.
Well, since he's good at selling lemons, how about this? Look at that. I know you're
absolutely
jealous.
You know what? That is an improvement compared to Christine. That is in better condition. That is in much better condition. You sold me. Crazy Bill, the car salesman. I'm in.
Look at this.
Take my money right now. And it's got Loki on it.
The Loki truck is coming in.
Yeah, I'm in, man. Just sign me up right now. You sold me. Crazy Bill, the car salesman.
Yeah, very well. Proof that he still makes bad decisions. Anyway.
Absolutely. That's why Tanya has PTSD every day. She's over there she's like Mike Arney, who used to do Tony Stewart's PR. She's over there like this, just waiting to go to her next therapy session.
Stupid. Well, can't wait for her to hear this podcast. She's going to be like, "You answered what question?"
She's sitting right next to me, actually. She's here because we're going to Charlotte this weekend, and we just got back. So she is over here watching it, sipping on alcohol repeatedly after every question I answer.
All right, very well. All right,
so we're doing well.
So this one's for Tanya. What is the one thing that no one knows about you that would surprise them?
There you go.
All right. Oh boy, where do we go?
I bet Tanya could answer.
No, I don't think she can. I don't know if she's gonna know this one.
She will soon.
Well, yeah. So,
we already know about your dancing power, so it's got to be something.
Yeah, it sounds good. That's very seizure-like. Well, don't make me feel worse. I'm already aware of this. That's why I don't like going to weddings. Unless there's a bar. So, something that people don't know about me.
Or something would surprise them. Could be anything. Like we had one guy who was a ballroom dancer. Obviously, his name is not Kyle, but you know.
Yeah, Kyle is a very, very eloquent fall downer.
There you go.
So I'm trying to think. Something very unique about me.
Cool hobby, cool skill, fear.
So something cool about me is I am exceptionally good about directions. I can go somewhere once or twice and know how to get there. Mm-hmm. But okay, what were you?
I was thinking your trivia knowledge.
Oh, okay, yes, my trivia knowledge of racing. I'm kind of like Mike Davis always jokes about Dale Jr. being Rain Man, and I think I could give him a run for his money with the racing trivia, and it's bad. I have people look at me. I've scared people in the industry before when I've spouted stuff off, so I think I'm about straitjacket worthy. So we're getting there.
So I was once referred to as a fountain of useless information.
That's me.
Okay. All right.
Just very motorsports.
All right. Yep. Motorsports useful. All right. So you can put that as underneath your logo. You can put that. Feel free. Yeah. Don't even have to credit us. It's fine.
Perfect. Excellent.
No worries.
So who was your favorite race car driver growing up?
I had a couple. Jeff Gordon was who I grew up watching. For many, many years, just wanted to do anything and be anything like Jeff. Brian Vickers was another one. I followed Brian when he first got into the Busch series for driving for his dad. And then when he transitioned over to Hendrick, I looked up to Richard Petty, just for the way he treats fans and just the person he is. Yep. And one of my other big ones was Landon Castle. Young guy, really pays attention to detail, great driver, has had to overcome a lot of adversity, has had to restart his career many, many times. Great guy, met him a few times. And Riley, Tanya's daughter, was actually Little Miss Sprint Cup and was like her and Landon were buddies. So I've actually gotten to sit down and get to know Landon a little bit through that. So it's kind of cool. So
that's awesome. All right, so there is a podcast guest that we haven't gotten yet, but he has a podcast. His name is Spike Ferrenson, and he used to write for Seinfeld, but he's got a car podcast, and he has this concept called a taproot car. It's the car that got you to be the car guy or car girl that you are now. So trace it back, think back. What was the car? Was it a model? Was it a neighbor's car, a parent's car, Hot Wheels? Could be anything. What started this deep abyss that you keep throwing money into?
So I know watching as a kid, I was any car that had a standard transmission in it was something, because my dad, it was the '89 Honda Civic that my parents had, because it was a stick. And then the little Mazda was initially my grandparents before it was gifted to me when we did some vehicle swapping in the family. We try to keep it clean, you know. We just do the vehicles and stuff. So
it's a good thing.
She's got her hand on her head right now. She's like, "Oh God, I got to spin this PRWise now."
That's okay. We're good. We can move to another question and save her.
Yeah. No, it was my dad's Accord. Any car that had like a 5-speed in it, just trying to figure out how to drive it. And ironically, it was when I watched Back to the Future, because that DeLorean in the movie was a manual transmission.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see here. When you were growing up, what was that one car that got away? The one you wish you had back?
My 2009 Honda Civic Si. Got it brand new got it used in 2009. I love that car. A little 2-door black Civic. It was me. Felt like I had the most confidence in school. Like life was going good. It was going on dates with it. It was great. I unfortunately lost it when I got hit head on by a drunk driver in 2015. I was vacationing in the Outer Banks, was there less than 8 hours. I had run out to Walmart late at night, was down there with a group of friends I used to throw darts with regularly, and ran to Walmart to get some stuff, got some snacks for the week, was going to come back and play video games and just hang out till I passed out and went to sleep. And I was on the main highway down there and I got hit. And there's a long story to it. And unfortunately, it broke my wrist, but that totaled my car. And to this day, I'm still devastated. I missed that car.
Jennifer's looking for one to turn into a race car, so maybe we can help you out in that one too. All right, so Vicky loves her question. I like mine, and she's going to shake her head and make fun of me and hate this, so I'm going to make this nice and long.
But is this gonna put you in the bathtub? Because we're trying to prevent that for you.
No, no. Maybe if I keep this question on for much longer, probably I'll end up. But anyway, so we like to give back to our podcast guests, and we are going to win the lottery and have an island. And on our island, we're going to have a racetrack. Mm-hmm. And to give back to our guests, we want to make sure that the cars that we have ready for you at the track are the 5 that you want. So what 5 cars do we get to choose for you to have at the racetrack? Could be a race car, could be a street car, could be a dirt track car, whatever you want.
All right. So first, we got to have a NASCAR stock car. We got to have a cup car there that I can fool around with and drive one of those.
Which one?
Got to have a sprint car because I always want to drive one of those 360 or 410. I want to sling one of those around and see what it's like.
Okay.
Street car. Honestly, I would love to have like an E36 or E30 track car just to pound around with, and it could be a race car, it could be a track car, like a track day car. I've fallen in love with just the BMWs. I've had a lot of success in them. So, and obviously just to drive around the track and change the configuration or pick up cones or just for something to do, I'd like my little Mazda pickup back.
Okay. All right. We could probably get your Civic back magically. You know. We're fancy that way.
Ooh. They know people. Wow, this is good. And then
the lottery gives you all this, you know.
It does. It's amazing what the lottery can do. Is this before or after taxes though? Because I gotta exceed my expectations at that point.
We don't know because we don't play the lottery, but you know, if we do, we're gonna win. So you know.
All right, perfect. All right,
that's how it goes.
Just needed to know when I'm sitting here.
No worries. Don't feel bad. Right. We've spent a lot of money. Jennifer's gonna have a taco truck. I'm just letting you know that's one of her cars. So.
You sold me a taco truck and low-key truck. Can I drive the low-key truck and then get out and have tacos out of the taco truck?
Well, if you come to the right race, we have the low-key truck and we have tacos coming out of an RV.
You sold me.
You can ask Grace Bar. Our food game is strong.
I will have to pose that question to Jim Andy.
It's the only reason they want us to be at the track with them is to feed them. enough not to make them go faster. That's for sure.
No, I've heard nothing but good things about you guys from them. So they love you guys. Final car, if I'm gonna have it, I would love to have back my grandmother's her Jeff Gordon edition Monte Carlo. She loved that car. It was a red 2-door car. We spent a lot of time in it, went to a lot of races at Richmond in it. And I would love to have that back just to drive it and just in her honor.
That'd be great. Awesome.
What do you think is the worst car in all of history right now?
Oh,
ever built? There's some very good contenders. I want to know what yours is.
Most of them Vicky drove when she was younger, but that's
ooh,
hand-me-downs.
Bathtub, buddy. Bathtub.
I know. I gotta the filter, man. I gotta get a filter somewhere.
Oh God. I would say the worst car out there is the like current model, older model.
Anytime, could be a brand, could be a model, could be a specific car that screwed you over, man. This is your time to call it out.
The Mazda 6.
Oh wow. Okay.
Was a total disappointment. I had a 4-door Mazda 6 and I got it because it was the car I got after the accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to get a car and I had nothing but problems with that car.
All right, we're blaming that one car then. Okay. So what is your most memorable car breakdown? It could be on the road or on the track.
Oh God. All right, let me get a pen and a pad of paper. Ran out of gas in the little Mazda pickup running around town because the gas gauge was broken. And had to get out and push the Mazda through a very, very busy intersection to a development so where I could get somebody to bring me a couple gallons of gas to get to the station. My mom yelled at me for that one, and it was just because the gauge is busted and we didn't fix it. And the truck was old. Mm-hmm. The other quality one was my uncle's Toyota pickup that I got after the Mazda. It used to have a security system in it because he worked in DC. And the problem is there was some fuse or electronic because the fuse box sat over on the left side. And when it rained, it got in there and it would mess with that old hookup that was in there that wasn't active. It would shut the truck off if it got too wet. So in the pouring rain, it shut the truck off on me heading to my grandmother's. I'm pushing the truck in a pouring rain at another busy intersection. This is getting repetitive, obviously. And ironically, I had to pull into and I haven't told you this story. You're going to love this. So, yeah. So I had to push it into an intersection. And thank God there was a nice little Chinese like laundromat and restaurant. So I'm in there waiting for the rain to stop and for the truck to dry out, sitting there eating like Chinese food. And the little nice Chinese lady comes out, "Are you okay, sir? Can we help you?" And I'm like, "I'm just, can we get you a towel?" And it was nice and embarrassing.
There you go.
What's your favorite track? Okay, Nate, give me 3 favorite tracks.
Okay, I was going to say, okay. Richmond. I love Watkins Glen. Mm-hmm. And Charlotte.
The oval or the roval?
Both.
Okay. So, what is your favorite car movie or car from a movie of all time?
Favorite car movie, probably Grand Prix from the 60s.
Okay.
Because I admire those guys because they had to do their own driving in the movie.
Yep.
And it was just cool. It's a really good movie. And favorite car from a movie. No, not the DeLorean. So just eat your Ben and Jerry's. God. I mean, it's one of them, but all-time favorite car probably would be.
You can change it next time you come on. Don't feel pressure.
It's all right. Well, no, I'm trying to think here because I've never really thought about it.
We're a very intellectual podcast, as you can tell.
I know you're really making me think here, and I appreciate that.
Getting race drivers to think is our job.
They ask better questions than Jenna Fryer.
Yeah.
They do.
Right.
They do. And I'm gonna get fined for that one. I know it. I know it's coming, but you better have somebody pay the fine for me.
I can edit.
We get to Daytona.
I can edit if it's going to be a fine. We're editing.
No, it's an inside joke.
Yeah, I know who to call.
Yeah. So probably favorite car from a movie would be from one of the James Bond movies. It was the Aston Martin, the DB4 that Dalton drove in that movie, the black one.
Okay. Okay. I always like to ask the race car drivers this. So, you know how when you're doing your racing games, you can switch cars and switch drivers. So you have the magic button. You are able to switch into the car that you raced against in the past or are racing against now, and you have to choose what car and what track.
Ooh.
The car that you like, I wish I was in that car, or I just want to know what that car is like, or
Watkins Glen.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
Laser Shark.
Yes. Honestly, that car would be very competitive up there. It really would be.
If only Race Park cared about being competitive, it might be.
I would be interested to drive that car completely. Just how that thing through the bus stop at Watkins Glen, that thing be so out of control. Oh man, that would be. All right. Now I'm gonna have to convince Andy to go run like the Champ Car race up there or something. Now
we'll go. It's only
all right. It's cool. We'll make it a group effort.
It's only an hour and a half from here. It's easy for us.
Perfect. It was Watkins Glen, and it was probably the Salins Porsche guys were running some amateur stuff, like some of their amateur old cars up there. And they were flying. I would love to see what I could do in one of those cars. And I have one other one, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
would love to see it was at Charlotte. There was a group that does WRL.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a Canon, like a 997 Porsche or something.
I remember that car.
I would like to see what I could have done in that car at Charlotte or one of the others. I
remember getting out. There was that car, and there was that race prepped Miata. Yes. And I got out after the first stint, and I'm like, I suck. I thought I was doing good. I was HPDing my head off. I was like, I think I'm going backwards, because all I remember is these cars just like passing me every other lap. And I'm like, and I get out of the car and they're like, you're in first place. I'm like, okay, I guess I did better then. We're okay then. Anyway.
So I would just see that car and I would just go, bye-bye.
Have fun. I mean, there was nothing you could do about it. It was just
no, you just wave, it goes by.
Man.
Like, that's a pretty car. Then you just try not to hit the barrier in front of you. Yeah. You're good.
I think it was like 26 seconds a lap faster than anybody else. It was scary.
That's fair.
That's about right.
Yeah.
So where would your ultimate road trip be? To and from? With your chickie, with your chicklet.
In what car? We're giving cars. Okay. We're giving cars away again.
All right. If I had the weekend getaway with,
could be a longer than that if you like.
Or what? Okay. If I had the ultimate road trip with the girl sitting beside me in there, it would probably be Key West, because I've never been.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be in.
It's going to be a stick.
It's got to be a stick. It's got to be a standard shift, because it's got to be fun. And it would probably be a BMW.
You know, we have a BMW as well as a truck. Just saying.
Oh, you stop.
I hear a car salesman.
Oh,
it's crazy business.
I know. You sound like
E46.
You're right. You are sound like a car salesman.
E46. Oh, sorry. Sorry, caught a bad cough here. So you, with your experience, would be a great person to answer this. So how much of racing and driving is learned versus how much is natural skill?
Ooh. I would say it's probably about 30% natural, 70% learned, because you're always learning.
Mm-hmm.
You may get 30% of it just naturally, ability that you're born with, that is just untapped, and you develop it over time, just things that happen. But there's so much that you learn in racing and ways that you can get better. And if you take the time and put in the effort, you can make yourself better.
Yep. So again, you're saying we got a chance. All right.
There's always a chance.
There's always a chance. No worries.
Yeah.
Miss Vicky, he survived.
He did. He did very well.
He did. We'll come up with more questions for your next trip. Don't worry.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've got a whole list of questions he hates, so we'll bust those out next time.
All right.
She's edited me. Did I miss one, Vicky?
No, I think you're good.
Okay.
So Kyle, how can our fans keep in contact with you and figure out what you're up to?
Well, we're always doing something. So we try to, at least. If you go to my website at kylelockrow.com, we have a schedule on there of any instructing, racing, test sessions that I'm doing. And you can follow anything that we're doing, whether it's road course, stock car, or whatnot. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. The business is kind of tied into my personal website. We've got a LinkedIn for it. Anybody that's looking for representation or any work done with web content management or photography or spotting, virtual coaching, in-person coaching, or if you just want to chat and ask and talk to us and see how we're doing and ask questions, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, reach out. We're probably eventually going to put a TikTok page up, because every sponsor in the world's like, we want to do TikTok. So I'm going to go ahead and start that here shortly. And
bust out those dance moves.
Yeah. Oh God. I'm going to be in trouble so quickly, and it's going to be so bad. They're going to be like, what? We'll get to the track, and the first question the media center will be, what is wrong with you? Are you sick?
Yeah.
Do you need medical attention?
It's just a twitch.
Yeah. It's just, just one of those like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I understand.
So, actually got hurt a little bit. I'm still sorry. Did that way too hard. Acting's not my foray either. So
it's okay. We're still trying to find a foray, so we're good. But thank you, sir. Hope you had a good time. We appreciate you coming on. We wish you well. We wish you good luck, and we will figure out a way to get together on the track again. Apparently, we've already done it once. We need to do it more often.
Absolutely. I would love to. I would love to come hang out and run with you guys. I follow everything you guys are doing. Just watching the progress and the projects you're doing. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on and just kind of let everybody get to know me. And I commend you guys for everything that you're doing and just the progression your program's made. And I'm just grateful that maybe I get to be a little small piece of it. So.
Oh, thank you.
I'm tearing up.
I'm blushing.
And if there's anything that we can ever do or that I can ever do, and you guys need something, you know where I'm at. You've got number, reach out. I'd love to help you guys or put you in touch with somebody or whatever we can do to help Garage Heroes in training just excel.
And obviously, if you have any announcements or anything, you feel free to let us know. We can have you back on. We can just make the announcement for you. We're willing to let our millions of listeners that we don't have yet, but we're working on it. Keep them up to date and let them know, and they'll be rooting for you. I know that.
Hey, we'll push the show. We'll help you guys get some more followers and get some more listeners, and we'll grow together.
Absolutely.
Right.
Raise all boats.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Have a great night.
All right. You guys too. Thanks so much, Bill, Vicky.